So as far as kind of where I'm moving to, it's all started where I started. So I just hit 50 this year, and I've been doing design and branding for 26, 27 years. Along that way, running my own business for that long, as well as raising a couple of girls, living through life. Even in high school, I had a love of day planners. It's just weird, but I'm driving back into that. And I've been really kind of following along and seeing the trends that happen with productivity and what it's doing and the effects it has on our day-to-day lives. The world has changed, and the world will continue to change. And for me, it's important that we all basically have a sense of we're living the lives that we want. And I create tools that allow, or tools that give you the space to create that for yourself. So today, I want to kind of talk about, it's called Escaping the Distraction Loop. And we all know the story, is it my phone? Is it, someone knocking on my door? How do I find focus to kind of get through the day? I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like I'm done a marathon and I just sat in my chair all day. And I see a bunch of lists, but I'm like, what did I actually accomplish? Like, I don't really have that sense of what did I actually accomplish in a day. So what I want you to kind of think about is what comes to mind when you think of focus. When you're going to sit down and focus, what type of activity or what kind of needs do you kind of have in mind with that? Anyone kind of want to throw a few things out there? What does focus mean to you?
Means finishing something. Okay. Looking at a task and then finishing it is kind of what I would want to focus on, right?
Yeah. Anyone else? Does that pretty much summarize it? Okay.
Can I just share as one of the ADHDers of the group? I feel like it's muting all distraction, but also setting really good intention about what it is. And I'm so glad that I'm here listening to this now, because I have like 5 notebooks on my desk right now that all have I
got you, Tara. That's why, we'll talk. So when you're thinking of focus, it's checking things off your list. You're thinking kind of like setting time aside, getting rid of distractions. It's one thing at a time. And your focus is like just this way, right? So when you think of it, it's just that spotlight, right? Just get one thing done. And in order to do that, yes, you need to harness kind of what's going on in your mind. Kind of like I think of a horse with a bridle, right? You want to kind of like lead it in the appropriate way. Our brain is beautiful, powerful, and intelligent, and it has the capacity to do so much. So to kind of harness it is a bit of a challenge. There's the standard things, notifications. We know about that. That kind of takes away what we want to do. There's tools like creating focus modes on your digital devices. Like within a day, you can go into your phone and kind of turn off Do Not Disturb or create a new one. So only certain people can call you at a certain time. Whatever your needs are for focus. Even it go as drastic as literally disconnecting in order to do this kind of focus. The science is proving that even having your device within sight reduces productivity by 40%. Because it's just that back of the brain thinking, anticipating something coming from your phone. And where I want to kind of start here is this idea of your life and the impact you have of your life. So you have your little world. This is yours, and you need to own it and kind of control. You have that power, but you have to also understand that what you do does have a ripple effect to what happens around you. So, those who matter most, obviously family, loved ones, friends, that kind of thing. And then even your community. So just kind of the idea, and then the world, there's a ripple effect. So I want you to understand that where you start actually does matter. Most of all, it matters to you, but it does actually ripple into the world around you. So kind of giving you that sense of value. So when you know something's important, you give it attention, you give it value. All right, ripple effect. But I came to an aha moment recently about I need to really redefine what focus is. And it all comes from this sense of attention. And we need to rebel to take this back into putting things back in our own plate. I read this book. I seriously suggest giving it an amazing read. After reading this, I have a bad taste in my mouth, actually, when I even go onto socials. I use it for work, like there's a value to it, but I definitely am a lot more conscious of what it is. So out of this book, at the end of the book, he had done a bunch of research, and he'd met with a gentleman working for Google and came out of it. And he says, focus isn't just one thing. We think it's that spotlight, but it's actually layers. We have the 1, 2, and 3 layers. So that first layer, and it's something that we need to hold on to, is that base. So we kind of have that understanding of where to go forward. So the first layer is understanding what is your destination? What kind of impact do you want to make with your life? If you think back to those ripples, right? What you do is going to impact the world around you. So he calls it the starlight. So it's kind of thinking about what are your values? It's directional. It has a distinct kind of path. They're longer term goals, right? Projects over time. It could be vision boarding. Like it's just that sense so you kind of know who you are and the values that drive the choices that you make. If you don't have a starlight, if you haven't defined that, you flounder and you're the deer in headlights. You're like, I don't even know where to start, right? So there's a value to understanding what that starlight is. So it's kind of like, what is your end game? It could be a specific long-term project or the impact you want to make. So for myself, I've done this. That says, I want to change the conversation about what makes a person valuable. It's not how much they build, create, or do. A person is valuable for simply being. And we all have a right to a life well lived and what that means to each person. So then the next step, how do you know, like, what is the why behind that? I'm a huge Simon Sinek fan, The Power of Why. If you don't know the why, no one will buy. It's the daylight. And I think this was the big aha for me. Daylight. It's clarity on why and how of this long-term goal. It's being able to see everything around you clearly, like you have everything in front of you. So when you have that, it just gives you that sense of you can kind of reflect on what's going on. It allows for mind wandering to see where connections are, or what's important, what's not important. It's kind of putting everything out there and understanding. And if you don't have that, this is actually the deepest form of distraction because it doesn't make sense to you. So if you don't understand the who, what, why, or how of what you're doing, it's harder to sit down and do the work, right? Because you don't feel that drive. You don't feel that inner kind of motivation to move forward. Things aren't making sense. You can get obsessed with those petty goals or outside affirmations, whether it's likes or, anything, acknowledgments from outside, because you're not getting it from within. And we all need to have that strong internal value system. So for me, when I look at things and why this is important, I'm like, well, anxiety is rampant. Doing more with less is not sustainable going forward. So we need to rethink that. When you rush through life, always doing, you're missing the world around you. And when you're reacting to notifications, it takes away from being able to deeply think for yourself. You're allowing the ding ding to define your day, or the email inbox. You're giving control to something else that's not yours. Distraction, in a sense, is really a short-term choice, but it does have those long-term consequences. And decision fatigue is rampant. So the more choices you have to make, the less you do. Like it is that deer in headlights scenario. Seriously. Okay. So the last layer, what are your immediate actions? And this is really where we started. It's that spotlight. It's that one task at a time. So after I've sort of figured out what my style, my overall, what the daylight, why am I doing this? And then it's like, okay, in order to get all this done, what are the main milestones, things that I need to do to get done? Think of these as the big projects or the big things. They're not little tasks, but they are that kind of project based, because you can break a whole impact goal into projects. I know Gerald, she told me once, she doesn't like goals, she likes to do projects. And this is exactly where that is. You're creating those projects, you can actually kind of get them done. So if you have your starlight, then you know your daylight, and then you can start to spotlight on where to really move forward. And I don't want you to lose your light. So the next step there is, okay, now you have these, main things that you need to do. That's when you start to build out. What are those little tasks? And now I kind of want to talk to you about the tools that can help you to kind of get those things done. It's kind of that next step. It can be as simple as a blank page. Like, I'm not trying to say you have to buy a productivity app or there's this one thing that's going to have all the answers. There is no tool that's going to have all the answers. Just trying to figure out what really works for you. So it could be as simple as a blank page. Maybe you love Post-it notes. Maybe you need to color coordinate and do something on your wall with a mind meld brainstorm. Whatever works, make it work for you. Maybe you're using a standard type calendar. Maybe that's your drive. You've used it for years, and that's what I'm going to do. And maybe you'd like to spend a lot of money on yourself, and you're going to spend $300 on a small, even smaller than this little notebook. I mean, is the money the answer to your solution to what you need to do? You go from free to a lot of money. So that's what brings me to what my business is. I created My Life Planners, started in 2014, and I've been evolving it and growing it. And it's all based on basically the kind of, I guess, motto tagline. I haven't really decided what that is, but it's kind of, I guess I could call it my mission statement and my visual kind of goal. So like I said, we talked about focus, and that's where, now that if you've done all of these steps in advance, you kind of know where it is that you need to focus. You need to find a tool that allows you space to create focus for getting things done. Then what the My Life Planner actually provides you is also a space to bring clarity. Where are all of the puzzle pieces? Looking at everything. This is the daylight element of what is everything in front of you, so you can kind of pick out what actually needs to get done. And then my frustration is at the beginning of the week, and then at the end of the week, you're like, what did I actually accomplish? I want you to actually start your week and end your week with intention, so you actually accomplish what it is that you would tend to do in a day, in a minute, in a year, in your lifetime. And I had tagged this on as the last element, as, just have some fun along the way. But what I've started to realize, it's actually a cyclical system. Then you need to take space for wonder, space to think, taking breaks, because that's when your brain power actually creates creative ideas, coming up with new concepts, which then you have to lead you into, I have this great idea. What am I going to do with it? I need to find focus, right? What is it? And getting down those steps. So our tagline, find focus, bring clarity, live with intention, and plan for wonder. I just kind of threw this in here. I could do a whole presentation just on this element. But it is so important to make sure you're taking time for yourself, getting a solid sleep, breaks of the day, doing things that actually are what make life worth living. So my tools, I have 2 different tools, and I'm kind of going to walk you through what they are. But the design elements are, they're good for 6 months, all of them. And they kind of combine the idea of everything that I'm talking about. So all the planners do have, I create a month spread. So you get that standard kind of calendar look, but I mimic, and you'll see based on how I have the My Week system. I do a Monday to Sunday kind of plan because I love to keep my weekends together. It just makes more sense for me. I use it for kind of that long-term idea of looking at projects or making weekend plans, that kind of thing, so, and it's all undated. Everything here is undated. So if you don't need to use it, don't use it. Maybe you're taking a month off. I don't know. But it's always there for you when you need it. So I'm going to start with the My Week system. And this is really the core, and this is where the clarity kind of comes in. And I kind of wanted to tie this to what I talked about as far as the our focus, those layers, the starlight and daylight. So the first page I have is this download page. And in a sense, the structure works for that system. So I have this sort of sense of space, of just a way to write down what is that overall starlight goal, what matters to me, and giving you that space to write that down so it's always there in mind. And then these are those milestone kind of spotlights. And then from there, it's creating those, getting all those puzzle pieces of things that I need to get done and just writing them down, just getting them out of your head. So it could be the starlights. It could be just categories. Maybe you need to bucket work together. Maybe it's all financial work. Maybe it's all person, like you have a party to plan. Whatever kind of matters to you in a week. And I think 1, 2, 3, I mean, you have to understand your capacity. You're one person. How much can you actually do? So it's being realistic with what you choose to do in a week. I also have, personal and work life. So sometimes there's things that don't necessarily fit into a bucket, but you just want to get it down somewhere. And I do have a personal end, but I want to emphasize personal is just as, if not more important than anything else on this list. I know traditionally if I made something personal, it would just be, I would keep pushing it off. So I just want to make sure that whatever you put down there, you're putting it down there for a reason and it matters. So this is where like I said, you're kind of piecing things together. It's bringing that clarity. When you have all of the puzzle pieces out in front of you, you can start to see what kind of fits with what, and giving you the space to do that. One of the things that I do kind of with my planners and in the inside pages is I am a digital person, and these tools are meant to bridge that. Anything advanced, meetings, planning, I put it in the calendar, right? But the week of or the week before, that's when I'll sit down and I'll start to write out what it is that I need to do that week. So I'm not reacting to a ding on the phone. I've actually thought about the meetings I have this week. Am I ready and prepped for them? That kind of thing. So during the week, this is sort of the inside 2 pages with a My Week system. You have it's just the inside is the weekday. So it's Monday to Friday. It gives you that space of what are these tasks? And keeping in mind, anything of these tasks, it's what you're getting from that download page. And you don't write it in here until you know that's what you're going to do that day. For me, honestly, I find if I write things in advance, the days like too much in advance, I don't know about you, but I hate being told what to do. So the day of, I want to understand, because every day changes and I want to kind of reflect that and be flexible. So that's why you have the download page. You won't forget about it, but you can always kind of put it, get it done when you need to. I have a space. I use it for a schedule. Some people are purely digital and they don't need the schedule element, but it's also a place that could be used for notes. Maybe you're doing some type of habit tracking or things like that. It's there for what you basically need. I also the pages do have a little perforation, so it's easy to quickly get to your latest week. So this kind of gives you a sense of, this is like one of my planners. And one of the great things that, like I said, when I have my schedule and I start to put out all the things I need to do in the day, I start to highlight what are these blank spaces. That's the playtime. That's the work, right? That's when you're actually going to get work done. And it's choosing what you're going to do in those blocks of time. That it's just really helpful. So you kind of have a sense of how much time you have in a day. And the weekend doesn't get shafted. The weekend gets its own space, just as Monday, just same amount as Monday does. And it's kind of like that end of personal is what you do in your life matters regardless of what's going on, because those things shouldn't be forgotten as well. So the next tool I call it a My Day. So this is for someone who just, the week it's not enough space. I found, and Tara, I have worked with, have clients and customers who are ADHD, and they've tested these out. And there's something about the sense of just having that focus of just one day can be very beneficial for them. So it's one day, it kind of combines everything, but allows a lot more space. So it's a 1 page per day. I've even had some people actually use this as a week. They don't need a full week, but they like to use this even just for 1 week. So 1 page is 1 week for some people. It's that flexibility of a tool that's really helpful. So with the My Day, it's you get more space for the tasks. So they do say productive wise, when you're writing out a task, the more detail you give it, the more likely you are to do it because it reduces that decision fatigue. It's like, go pick up my book from the library at 3 o'clock if you have a time, or make an appointment with the doctor about I haven't worked. I have to freeze I don't know. But the more things that you can put on it, adding in phone numbers or details, you're helping yourself to not have to make those decisions when you choose to do a task. Just space for notes. And once again, a schedule, just kind of want to note out what those important meetings are in the day and what you need to get done. Okay. The other thing I do include in My Day, instead of, I include kind of like these bucket, well, first, kind of blank pages. They're buckets. They could be anything. Maybe it's something you want to do. What are the projects I have in a month? Goal work, birthdays, movies to watch, or for me, it's like, what restaurants do I want to go, eat at? Just things that are they live in your head, whether you realize or not. You just want to kind of give them space to get onto the page. As well, because it's the My Day and you don't have that full week to track those milestones, I do incorporate these pages so you could kind of have those long-term projects and putting those tasks down for you as well. And then I created just as an extra because as I full disclosure, I started out with My Day. And then I found I was that hamster wheel. I couldn't get anything done. So I created the My Week. But the more I kind of learned about productivity, there was a value into having that day-to-day spread. So once I started to test it out, I saw there was a real value in it. So I created just a supplementary little notepad of just a day-to-day. So it's there kind of for when I need it. So you get that full page of what a day is. So, using I use it with the My Week. So maybe I have a day I just have a lot more stuff I just want to write down. I'll bring it out and I will kind of use it for that day as well. And sorry. So just kind of give you a sample of that. But then also on the backside, it's just random blank notes again. So instead of having all those sticky notes around or looking for, I got the back of an envelope, I'm going to write something down, right? So having those little things that you always know you can kind of reach out to. I don't know if I spin through this, but I'm at the end of my presentation. So out of all of that is really kind of what my life is and the tools that I'm creating and starting to build. You can learn about it there. If you take a picture of the QR code, it will take you to a landing page that you can download this. I created a worksheet for this Light Up Your Focus. So you can actually download it and print it off. As well on that page, there are downloads for a My Week system and a My Day. So you can print them off, try them out, and see what you like. So that's my presentation. Does anyone have any questions or anything?
Are you telling me that this system is going to get rid of all the multicolored Post-its I have in my desk downstairs?
Or even that, you could even just move your multicolored Post-its to the book itself. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things.
Darren keeps telling me I need to start to do time blocking, and actually it's really interesting because the colors that you showed on your pages, it's the kind of person I am is that it's not like I'm color coding, but what happens is that if I don't have something that attracts me, it's like there and gone in seconds. So this is really fascinating.
Yeah. Brian?
I really like the thinking behind this and the structure. So for somebody that's kind of picking this up and starting, would they tend to use all of the tools, or would they tend to say, well, I need to get organized on a monthly basis, but my daily stuff is okay, or vice versa? I need to get organized on a daily basis.
I'm not used to talking so much in the morning. I think if you're going to start with something, if you think the day-to-day are good, but that's where the My Week kind of gives you that sense of the planning for the week, because it doesn't have, for a lot of notes. There is the month plan, but like I said, it's kind of like when you're sitting and it's I love day planners. I grew up with them. The idea of you carry it around with you everywhere, but I'm like, we have our phone. If we need to track down or know where we need to be, the phone is there. This isn't something I necessarily carry around with me. It's at my desk. It's a tool for me when I need to sit down and get to work. And when it comes to creating that focus and that spotlight, it's like, there's no ding. You can turn off your computer, right? And you can kind of just giving yourself the sense to speak, to understand. It's not a tool that is going to tell you what to do. It's flexible space for you to tell it what you need from it, right? So, because I really believe everybody has the answers within them, but if you don't give yourself the space to listen to what needs to get done, it won't get done. So I guess just to answer your question as far as what tool to start, not all of them. I think the MyWeek is a beautiful introduction. If you just want to dabble, the little notepad just to kind of, see how the overall structures, that works as well.
Very good.
I think one of the things that I found really fascinating is the thoughts and how you express that if you download, and I quite often say this, if I just had a chance to plug into some place and download everything that's there so I could have more room to kind of create some more thoughts, ideas, and routines or whatever, it would be so much easier. And actually, I think this might be the way to do it. It's actually really incredible, Crystal. Thanks.
No problem.
Cool.
All right.